Hello and good morning, everybody. Happy to see you again. Welcome back to our continuation of our teaching of Shantideva, Chapter 9 in the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life with our dear teacher, Geshe Dorji Damdul. So I'd like just to remind you that if it is possible, please keep your camera open so we can see you and have a nicer atmosphere. And also, of course, that this meeting is streaming live on YouTube, where you can watch it, and the previous meetings in this teaching sessions, and also that, of course, all our activities are done by volunteers and financed only by donation. So you can find the details in the event page on the Dharma Friends of Israel website, and I will also send the details through chat. Okay, so with that, we can go ahead and start our day. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, Tomer, Leorala, Gilala, Charlie, Kim Louis, Noit, Ilsteva, Tommy, and Dalit, and Tinjumla. Okay. So as always, we will do the first setting proper motivation, which consists of 3 parts. 1, the refuge field. So this refuge field, if you can do it properly, and it reinforces the sense of refuge, and this is the ground for all the good qualities, like the Bodhisattva paths, like the path to nirvana, Buddhahood. All these things are possible with this refuge, very strong refuge. So for that matter, let us reinforce the visualization of the Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings, particularly the Bodhisattva Shantideva, the author of this text, with us. And while we visualize them, just see if you can do it in such a way that they are so loving and caring towards you, embracing, and the way in a manner in which the mother embraces her very young, tender child. Okay, let's take a few seconds to invoke this refuge sense. And here then, we also visualize or invoke all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to bless us that you be guided till Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that becomes an extremely strong Mahana refuge. Next, for the Bodhisattva field, visualize your 2 parents and all your family members, including children, and all dear mother sentient beings of your country, of the world, of the Milky Way galaxy, and of all the entire universe. And here you are like the mother, and embracing with so much love, affection, attention, care towards all the beings. And imagine that I will take the responsibility that each of these dear mother sentient beings are taken to the ultimate state of happiness and be freed of all the miseries. With this in mind, let us invoke the spirit. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, with this in mind, let us read the text from the screen sharing. And meanwhile, just imagine that you are leading this recitation and all beings are happily joining you. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Sanje joda zoge jonam no chanju pardo dane kyapsu che dage jinso kebe sonam ge dola penjere sanje rubare sho Sanje joda zoge jonam no chanju pardo dane kyapsu che dage jinso kebe sonam ge dola penjere sanje rubare sho Sanje joda zoge jonam no chanju bardo dane gyapsu che dage jinso gebe sonam ge drola penjere sanje rubare sho. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. In dependent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is freedom of all aberrations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads hearers seeking passing complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps observers expound the varieties of teachings. The one who is transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, protector to your prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays. To you, the Buddha, make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum desham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Meaning of the Tenjin mantra: all phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite. Such is the nectar like Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times of your obeisance. The four seals of the Buddhist teachings. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcendent sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dhamma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is also everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings from miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, hearts with the mantra. Teatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha Teatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Okay. The Buddha Shakyamuni as the wisdom of emptiness. This is the one which can liberate the beings, and it is said that the as we follow the path, say when you for the Shravakas and Pratik Buddhas, meaning those who seek personal liberation, for them, they have the measure of having entered the path is that whenever they have a genuine sense of renunciation, that I must be liberated, that I must achieve nirvana, when that becomes very spontaneous in the individual, then the person is entered into the path of the personal liberation seekers, which means Shravaka path and the Pratik Buddha path. Whereas for the Bodhisattvas, this is not sufficient. That I must be liberated, may I be liberated. This very genuine sense of renunciation, that is not sufficient to be qualified to have entered the Bodhisattva path. For the Bodhisattva path, the path connotes the distance between where you are and where you're going. So where you're going, the destination must be very clear in your mind. So following the Bodhisattva path, if you don't have the Buddhahood as your destination, this is where I'm going. If you don't have this goal there, then no matter what you're doing, like renunciation, that I must be freed from the miseries, I must achieve nirvana and so forth, and you are not yet followed the path. Whereas the moment there's a spontaneous desire that may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, may I, meaning the person who is not yet the Buddha, not yet Buddha. So this person, where the person he or she is now, to the state of the Buddhahood. may I become Buddha. Then the goal becomes very clear, and where you are becomes very clear, and that your desire to get in there. So you already stepped into this the threshold, the entrance. That the moment you say you have a genuine desire, it's not just the superficial, the manner in which we do. We never know that individuals, some people from their past life habituations, in this life, just meeting with a teacher and learning about bodhicitta and the desire, just meditating on the bodhicitta, and then the very spontaneous experience can come. Whereas for some people, it may take, like, say the many weeks, months, years, and in some cases, like even lifetimes, several lifetimes is very possible. The point is that whenever you have the very spontaneous experience that may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, at that point, you have entered the first Bodhisattva path. So now, having entered the Bodhisattva path, we have to do something to materialize this aspiration. May I become Buddha? Actually, to become Buddha, you have to do something. So that involves the Bodhisattva paths, the various Bodhisattva paths, and particularly the practice of the 6 perfections, 10 perfections, so forth. And so there we see, and then how we're talking about the 6 perfections, 10 perfections, as well, like they're very simple. In actuality, when you go into the details, when you go into the nuances, is a vast array of the aspects of the Bodhisattva path. So, in other words, there are like thousands and thousands of versions of the Bodhisattva paths. Now, from there, it is very clearly indicated that only the wisdom of emptiness is the liberating path. All others are the ripening paths. That we have to keep in mind. Only the wisdom of emptiness is the liberating. What actually liberates us is the wisdom of emptiness. So the example is pretty, we can give a simple example that if you want to, let's say, to build a good house for yourself or your family. So I want to build a house, until you have this enthusiasm to build a house, say in a barren area where it requires a lot of effort. And unlike building a house in a city, a town, where all the materials are very easily accessible, whereas in a very barren place, where there's no the proper road there, so until the person has a great enthusiasm, the house will not happen there. So, for this to actually build a house, we need many factors. So the actual materials, the substantial material wise, the cement, the bricks, the sand, and water, and of course all these things are required. Meanwhile, we also need the workers. We also need experts, engineers, architects, and so forth. We need them. And then these architect engineers also have to eat something. And they also need, say, temporary shelter for them. So all these are the factors. And then above all, your enthusiasm must be there. Your enthusiasm is not going to build a house, but that is the incredibly important factor for the house coming to being. For the actual house, we need the materials. Materials will become the house. Your enthusiasm will not become that part of a house, but without this, the materials will not automatically fix themselves, and then become a house. So the bodhicitta, that is the enthusiasm that I should become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. Then what actually makes you Buddha is the one which removes your mental defilements, because the Buddhahood is not seen elsewhere, it is within us. So you have to remove the mental dirts. And what removes the mental dirts? Look at the nature of the mental dirts. Mental dirts, they are the nature of the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, and the subtle stains of this. So the self-grasping ignorance and the subtle stains, we must introduce a counterforce in order to remedy these. And the counterforce is none other than the wisdom of emptiness, because the ignorance to be eradicated and the counterforce, these two must be the mutually exclusive with respect to the object of observation. say the self-grasping ignorance views things as objectively real, and the wisdom of emptiness must look at the apprehend the object in the opposite way. In other words, the two forces, they must be mutually exclusive pertaining to the object of apprehension. How they apprehend the object, they must be mutually exclusive. That one says that things exist objectively, and a wisdom must see that things don't exist objectively, they are empty of objective existence. In other words, the wisdom of emptiness alone is what really cleanses your mind, but in order for this to be active, that it works, it functions to remove the mental dirt, we need this enthusiasm, the wisdom. And alongside the wisdom, we need we need this enthusiasm, the bodhicitta, and this bodhicitta should have the quality of skillfulness and the generosity to expand your circle of love towards others, then the ethics to refrain from the negativities, then the patience when you go into the virtues, we should be the patient, and difficulties you're bound to face difficulties. We should be patient, and then like many other nuances are there, like not expecting having no expectations in return for what you're doing, and the skillfulness, and not giving up the sentient beings at any cost. All these factors are there. So these are like the ripening factors to encourage this wisdom to move, that it should be effective. Okay, so this wisdom plays a very important role. With this in mind, we will do, so finally, we have to practice it. You, myself, we all have to practice it. And then sometimes some people, their enthusiasm is like this, they're, every day, I will do it every day. And then they do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, in some cases, one month. And then after 1 month, they come across the emergency cases, urgent cases, where they don't really have time even for the food. They have to attend to the mother in the hospital, the relatives in the hospital, and so forth. And then the person cannot do. And then once one is able to, there's a gap, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Oh no, I cannot do it. And then you stop altogether. So sometimes just keep it flexible. Just think flexibly that the Buddha is not a rigid person. In other words, the Buddha is our role model, our guide. He's never a rigid person. He's very practical. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is extremely practical. In fact, they say, depending on the individual situations, His Holiness would give advice, not a general advice to everybody. No, depending on the situation. So what I'm saying is that this practice, when you go to some emergency cases, or you are on some urgent works where and if there's a gap for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, it doesn't matter. After 3 to 4, 5 days, whatever the gaps you have to take it, and then after that again resume. Finally, the more we leave the imprint of the practice of wisdom and emptiness, the more the benefit. And over time, you will feel the benefit that deep inside you become a very confident person, and you are not being easily fluctuated by the external factors. No matter what they say, how tragic the situation is that you encounter with, your mind will be very stable and grounded. This is so precious, so precious. Okay, with this mind, let's do a very quick meditation on the basis of Arinigarjuna's, the 2 verses about the self seen in the light of the 6 elements. Okay, we'll do that practice. And the preparation, as the preliminary part, we already did the prayers, invoking the spirit Bodhicitta and so forth. Now let's do the practice, the wisdom of emptiness, which we're going to do in a short form. And this is going to be like a sample for us. And even though they say by by doing this, and if it so happens you encounter with other scholars, You say that this is what I've been doing. I measured emptiness, and then you explain this, and then some scholars may outrightly reject it, saying that this is very gross. It doesn't matter. We let us take steps. So how to make it subtle? Only through extensive studies, reflection. We can't expect right from the beginning, Gade Bodhi Swaha. It should be like Gade Gade Para Gade Para Samgade Bodhi Swaha. So therefore, these practices, oftentimes, it is said that what you do, make sure that you have a good blueprint, and leave space for expansion, like more extensive studies, more reflection, and so forth. And at the moment, while your studies and reflection may not be so vast, you do something, do some practice, be small, it doesn't matter, do it. And then when you do that, the unless and until the other person, anybody else, particularly related to the Buddhist teachings and so forth, until the person is really sympathetic, really rejoice in what you're doing, it is always advised to keep what you doing as confidential. Because the reason is that if you say, "Oh, I practice the emptiness, I practice bodhicitta," just they reveal this to anybody else, and some people, they may feel a little bit of guilt inside that, okay, this person is doing a lot, and I've been receiving teachings a lot, but I've not been doing anything, and the person may feel, the little discouraged, and some people, they may feel a little jealous. Some people, they may feel competitive. Some may feel a little averse to you. What is this bodhicitta? And some may be contemptuous of, what you've been doing. What is this? This is just nothing. Where is the bodhicitta? Where is the wisdom of emptiness? They may, and if they're exposed to the studies more extensively, they may even throw some questions to you which you cannot answer. And then they may give you an impression as well of what you're doing so trivial, so meaningless. These are dangerous. So therefore, it is said that keep your practices, personal practices, as a little confidential. Whereas your studies, you can share. And that too, if the person is not interested, don't push. If the person has some interest, then you can say that, okay, these are the studies that I do. And then whatever you learn, just share. It doesn't mean that what you have learned or that you have learned it perfectly. Just share, and also be open to listen to what the other person has to say, something insightful or something beneficial. Okay, with this in mind, let us do the practice. Ready? Of the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, first just sit upright. Sit upright. This is very important. And at times you have backache problem. Then there is exception. Then you can lean against a support. Otherwise, sit upright. And then when you're in a car, when you're in the metro, aeroplane, trains, and so forth, you can meditate. It's fine. And the point is that in whatever position that you can meditate is fine. Generally speaking, for the ordinary people, when you lie down, you can, maybe day one, day two, you can do it. Then over time, you cannot do this. So the moment you relax or you lean against the support, again, maybe for 1 or 2 days you can do it. Then over time you cannot do this. So for the people like us, ordinary people, the best thing is have some discipline. Just sit upright, and then do a practice. And whereas in some cases, this is very strange, where if you just sit upright and there are people around you, then it looks so odd. If that happens, then it's not necessary. Finally, when you feel that, oh, it's a little odd, and then still do it, then your mind will go after, okay, what I'm doing is odd. You are not after the emptiness meditation. You're after the odd meditation. So therefore, this is not healthy. And so under such situation, if these cases are there where many people are there, and then if you sit like this, then it looks so odd, then you can lean against some sofa, whatever, and then let other people talk. You just sometimes say yes, yes, and then you keep meditating. Yeah. Okay. So now, otherwise, if you're by yourself and with your somebody who know you so well, your husband, your wife, your children, who know you so well, and then you tell them very openly that, okay, this is my time for my personal practice. Then I expect you not to disturb me during this time, and then you sit in a meditation. Okay, good. Okay, so what we do is that when you practice the wisdom emptiness or bodhicitta, it's very important that, okay, now I have 5 minutes, now I have 10 minutes. If this is how you do, then the meditation will not be successful. Whereas if you have an ample of time, like 1 hour or 2 hours, 1 hour, okay, 1 hour is relaxed. Then in other words, the meditation must be done in a relaxed mental state. Okay. Whereas if it is the only choice that you have only 5 minutes, then yes, 5 minutes I'll do, and then say whatever comes to you, let it happen. Very good, do it. Even though it is not efficient, something is better than nothing. Okay, good. Now for the meditation, they will do on the basis of the four essentials. Bringing the materials from Nagarjuna's the verses. Okay. This is analytical. Emptiness meditation is analytical meditation. So this is going to be like more in the form of analysis. And I'm going to give the instructions. Just follow instructions and try as much to invoke the experiences. Are you good? What are you doing? I'm meditating. What is your body doing? My body is in a meditative state. Okay. Are you sure that this self is meditating? Yes, meditating or in the preparation of the meditation. Good. And just how does this self appear? As objectively real or as like a dream? Your mind creating this self. Of course, objectively real, nothing from the mind is so solidly there. And this perception and the belief that this self exists as objectively real, that is the self-grasping ignorance. Okay, how can I know that this ignorance, this perception, the belief is not is not a valid cognition? How can I know that? That's true. Let's not forget how this self appears to you. Say so objectively and independently out there, so well defined, independent of your mind. Let's not forget this. Let's say that for the time being, although on a very gross cursory form, this is the essential of identifying object negation, that this self, as seen as so object real, this is to be negated. Okay. Now, how can I know that this can be negated? Now, this self exists, but the self is seen as existing from the object, independently of a mind. If this self does exist in the form, then remember what Nagarjuna said in the precious garland. In the text, precious garland, where Nagarjuna said, if the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Yes. If from distance what I see is water, if there is truly is water, how do we evaluate that? We go closer towards the object from where the water appears. And by going closer there, then you see it's so dry. There's no water there at all. From this, we deduce that what I earlier saw as water was deceptive. It was just a mirage. Mirage appearing as water. So water was empty there. Likewise, if this self what exists objectively, so well defined, objectively, independently of my mind, then we have to evaluate this existence by going closer towards the object. Okay, let us go closer to the object. Let us not stay where we are now, seeing the self from distance. So the mind which sees the self from distance is known as conventional analysis. With the conventional analysis, we cannot decide whether the self exists objectively or not. So we should employ the mind which goes closer to the object to see if the self actually exists objectively. So that mind which goes closer to the object is known as objective analysis or the ultimate analysis. Okay, now we employ this ultimate analysis to go closer to the object, to the self, to see if the self actually exists from the object. And in the process of going there, whatever is not the self, we're not interested in what is not the self, we're only looking for the self from the object. So let us simply ignore all those things which you come across on the way to look for the objective self. Okay, going closer to the self, towards the self, towards the object from where the self appears. First, what we see is that thin layer of the skin. Of course, that is not me. Behind that, the fatty tissues, the flesh, the muscles, the cartilage, the blood vessels, the heart, the lungs, the brain, the gallbladder, liver, intestine, pancreas, kidneys, and the whole skeleton. All these solid parts, none of these solid parts is the self. And these solid parts constitute the element of earth. In other words, element of earth is not me 100%. Then we see 4 liters of, on average, 4 liters of blood in a body, which is the element of water. Of course, the element of water is also not me. The blood, which is pumped in and out by the heart to the different parts of the body, is also not me. That's for sure. Just try to visualize them as in real sense, in real time and real space, where the blood actually flows through the heart, through the arteries, through the different parts of the body, like the lungs, the brain, the bones, the stomach, gallbladder, and so forth. Just how in real life it flows. Just try to visualize them so precisely. Element of fire, the body heat. The body heat simply spreads to the body. 2,500 joules of energy. Of course, that is not me. People can see me. People cannot see my body heat from distance. Element of air. 4.6 liters of air which I breathe in and out through my lungs. Again, see them so living there. You breathe in, the air goes in through your lungs. And then you breathe out. And this air, in a very the minuscule or the micro level, they're being carried by the blood to different parts of the body, the oxygen. Of course, the element, the air is also not me. Element space. If you see this body through the electron microscope, we see that 99.9% of the body is just vacuum. Element space. Again, even this vacuum is not me. The vacuum that is in my body, the vacuum outside in the air, this was the same. I'm not this vacuum. I'm not this element of the space. What is left now? Now only consciousness or the mind is left. This mind is also not me. The mind that's thinking now, the mind which is contemplating now, even that is also not me. People can see me. People cannot see my mind. I'm a male. I'm a female. My mind does not have a gender. Gender is posited on the basis of the body. Even this mind is also not me. Ignore this. What is left now? Nothing is left there as a self. Okay, go back to 6 elements. Element earth, water, fire, air, space, and consciousness. What are you seeing now? I'm seeing 6 elements. Where is the self? Where is the self? Which of the 6 elements is self? None of the 6 elements is self. If you are 100% sure of this, that none of the 6 elements is this me. This is your understanding of the essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects, the self being one with its parts. Very good. Okay, so what you really see are the 6 elements. And you discover that none of the 6 elements is the self. Okay, but you're looking for the self. You're not looking for the 6 elements. Now, just see if the self still exists there, different from the 6 elements. Given that the 6 elements are not the self, taking aside 6 elements, see if there's a self different from the 6 elements there from the object. Remove the 6 elements, nothing is left there. If you are 100% sure that keeping aside the 6 elements from the object, there's nothing there, but subjected to the ultimate analysis, there's nothing left there from the object. When you are 100% sure of this is your understanding of the essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being different from its parts. Okay, so now where is the self? If it is not one with the aggregate, not one with the 6 elements, or different from the 6 elements, where is self? Yes, if none of these 2 is true, there's no possibility that the self should exist from the object. If you're 100% sure of this, you got the 4th essential understanding, the pervasion, that anything which is empty being one with and different from its parts entails the emptiness of the objectivity of the self. Okay, yes, now you have come too close to the self. Where is this self to be identified as a self? Okay, to my amazement, there's nothing there to be seen as the self besides the 6 elements, not amongst the 6 elements, no different from the 6 elements. There's nothing to be identified as self there from the object. Stay in this experience. Okay, so this meditation is known as the meditation on the space-like emptiness of the meditative equipoise. Sometimes you may get say when you see that the self is not really there, a tinge of a fear can come to you, or as I say, the uneasiness can come to you, or I'll say in some cases extremely profound tranquility can come to you, or ease can come to you, serenity will come to you. If any of these indications happen, you are extremely fortunate. Okay, now imagine that you come out of this meditation. Come out of this meditation, again the self comes back, self appears to me. Self comes back. Yes, you are 100% sure that from the object the self is not there. You've already discovered that. But now you are seeing this, you're perceiving this self now. Yes, it's a mere perception. From the object is not there. From the object is not there, from the subject the self appears, which means it's a mere appearance to the subject because it is totally empty there from the object. So this is not a mere appearance like a dream. What is dream? Just a mere appearance to the mind, nothing really there from the object. Therefore, this is known as the illusion-like emptiness – meditation on the meditative equipoise of the illusion-like emptiness. Okay, with this awareness, just try to maintain this awareness that everything that I'm experiencing, they're all like dreams, they're all like illusion, nothing from the object, all perceptions taking place, but nothing concrete from the object. And this dream-like illusion nature, or the illusion-like nature, on that level, everything is operating so efficaciously. The cause and infallible cause and effect, they've been operating on that level alone. But you're good. Come out. And if you can do this much, so at the moment I've been giving the direction, or the instructions I've been given. And when you do it by yourself, it'll take like 6, 7, in some cases like 10 minutes. If you can do it on a daily basis, that'd be wonderful. Okay, now continuation from where we left last time. That is on did you call it? 116. Okay, 116, logic that emptiness establishes emptiness. Okay. Okay, so they are broadly, of course, the reasons to establish emptiness, there are many, but broadly there are the 5 very common the reasons to establish emptiness, which okay, I request our program coordinator to do the screen sharing of these 5, and try to make a copy for yourself. I'm not going to go through all these, just to inform you that these things are there. So that's just it. Okay. They say reasoning to reject the. Okay, by the way, for information, this material is a ready-made material from the translation which I did for the Nalanda Master's course. Nalanda Master's course, and this material from there is a ready-made material, but you can make a copy, keep a copy for yourself. The reasoning to reject the object of negation to existence, or the objective existence on other objects, which means on any objects, the self, your, let's say, your house, your relatives, or anything. The 5, number 1, analyzing the entity. That's the first one, analyzing the entity. Number 2, analyzing the cause. Number 3, analyzing the result. Number 4, analyzing the counts, the numbers. And then finally, king of the reasoning. We see that there are these are the 5 technical terms, and what they are, you can see the it's a one-line explanation. The reasoning of emptiness, the first one, analyzing the entity, the reasoning of emptiness, oneness, and multiple or differentness. This is more like the 4 essentials, reasoning of the 4 essentials. The next one is they're analyzing the cause, the reasoning of diamond slivers. So this is the reasoning employed by Aranigarjuna in the opening passage of his text, The Fundamental Wisdom of the Middle Way. And this book, most of you already have, I can see that most of you already have this book. If you don't have this, the soft copy is, you can have the soft copy, is available for free. Keep this, and as I mentioned earlier, this book is not available in the market. This is extremely handy book, extremely useful book. I would make it a point that if possible, try to have a hard copy. If not, keep a soft copy. Some people prefer to use these soft copies. Others prefer to use hard copies. I personally prefer to use soft copies, older generation. Okay, so the point is that these are already readily available there. And in this, so we have also extracted the 5 important The chapters from Nagarjuna's text, Fundamental Wisdom of the Middle Way, the 5 important chapters, which is holiness that Dalai Lama oftentimes gives teachings on. And there, in the first chapter, the opening passage of the first chapter, it says, neither from itself, nor from another, nor from both, nor without a cause, does anything whatsoever, anywhere, ever arise. This verse, it is page 113. This verse is the reasoning referred to as the second reasoning, analyzing the cause, Diamond Sliver's reasoning. Oh yes, thank you. The neither from itself, nor from another, nor from both, nor without a cause, does anything whatsoever, anywhere, ever arise. In other words, the reasoning given is that, saying the self is not produced objectively, or the self is not truly produced because it is not truly produced from itself, nor it is truly produced from another, nor that is produced from both self and another, nor that is produced causelessly. So that's the reason. But this, then one establishes that the self does not exist as truly being produced. This is the Diamond Sliver reasoning, number 2. Okay, going back. Then number 3 is analyzing the result, the reasoning of rejecting the production of existence and non-existence. Okay, okay, don't worry. I'm just giving you the idea that, okay, there are reasons there. It's not just one reason saying there is not one with, not different from, it's just one part of the reasoning. And once you know that there are many of them, then your mind becomes more open, broader to the possibility of the various reasons to establish emptiness. So the next one is analyzing the result, saying that the self is not produced objectively, or is not truly produced, because it is not produced by a cause which is simultaneous with the self, nor produced by a cause which is which is not simultaneous with the cause from both or neither. That is number 3. Then number 4, analyzing the count. The count means the self is not produced, is not truly produced, because because a single cause cannot give rise to the self as a single result. Multiple cause cannot give rise to a self as a single result, and then the single cause cannot give rise to a self as a multiple result, and multiple cause cannot give rise to a self as a multiple results. Okay, cause-wise, one cause cannot give rise to one result. One cause cannot give rise to multiple results. It means one cause cannot give rise to a truly existent one result. One cause cannot give rise to truly existent multiple results. Then the multiple cause cannot give rise to truly existent one effect. Multiple cause cannot give rise to truly existent multiple results. Okay, that is the analyzing the counts, the reasoning of the rejection, the 4 modes. Then finally, the king of reasoning. The self is not truly produced because it is dependently originated. The king of reasoning, the reasoning of dependent origination. So these are the 5 reasonings. And of these, what we are studying here in this guided Bodhisattva Shantideva's the text, guided Bodhisattva's way of life here, it is related to the first one, the reasoning of emptiness. Okay, it is the second one, the reasoning, analyzing the cause, the reasoning of the diamond slivers, that it is not produced from itself, nor from the another, nor from both, nor causelessly, which is the summary of the first verse of Nagarjuna's the chapter 1, which we seen before. Okay, this is chapter 1. You sir. Tell us. Yeah. You sir. On page 113. Okay, so this is one. What we are studying here, Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, what we are studying from now here, stanza 116 down. This is the from Aranigarjuna's text, the verse 1. And in fact, this verse is extremely important, that when you study Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, again, we see that this being explained here. When you study Acharya Chandrakriti's text, again, we see that this is a basis for establishing the self-essence of phenomena in Acharya Chandrakriti's text, Madhyamika Avatar, or Entering the Middle Way. So this verse is extremely important. And once you get the understanding of this, then it's good that sometimes we can recite it by heart. In Tibetan, it is Dale Mai Shenlemin, Nile Mai Gumemin, Ngobo Khana Khaya, the Kasra, Ngobo Khana Khana, Kewaname Yumai. This is the Tibetan verse. So you can recite this in English, and then by reciting it, just reflect on the meanings. Okay. Now going back to the text, which is on page 39. Page 39, stanza 116. Thank you. Okay, the reason from the viewpoint of cause. Viewpoint of cause, the viewpoint of cause, Damdul is that rejecting causes production. First, and let's say the self is not produced truly, or it is not produced objectively, because it is not produced causelessly, number one. It is not produced from the self. It is not produced from both. And it is it is not causelessly produced. It is not produced from the self, not produced from others, not produced from both self and others. Okay, the reasoning has four sides. So and then the sequence you can alter. The four sides of this reasoning you can alter. It's not necessary that everything should be just proper, like it's not produced from the self, other, both, and causeless. In many of the texts, it presents like this, but here is presented as first the causeless production, rejection of the causeless production, followed by rejection from and even these rejection of each of the four, they are not so explicitly presented. They are done in a, say, the mixture. Okay, the first one is causeless production. The reasoning from the viewpoint of cause. First, rejecting causeless production. And so now this is very important. Say when we reject when we look at things like the self, others, or whatever, when we look at things, we see things as so objectively real. And then particularly, which is extremely important, is that when you look at the self is so important. In fact, to most of the people that then your house, your family, your health insurance, these are so important. Your well-being, that you are happy. This is so all related to self. And then the question arises, what is the self? This is a question asked by many, many, many philosophers in the past. And nowadays, the neuroscientists. In the past, the philosophers, they asked this question. And the philosophers, they came up with different answers. Okay. And so let's say the view of the Charvakas. Charvaka, the hedonist, who do not believe in rebirth, who do not believe in beyond what you can see. So what they say is, Charvaka assert, by direct perception of the conventional world, all causes are seen. So What's the reality? Reality is what you see. What you don't see is not reality. Rebirth. What is rebirth? Who saw the rebirth? These are questions asked by the Charvakas. In fact, this is extremely inspiring. In the past in India, all these different, the possible, reflections, contemplations, and the analysis were being done. And very contradictory views were there. Very contradictory. This is like really the hedonist, very strongly believing that, no, there's no rebirth, there's no karma. What do you see? Seeing is believing. That's the reality. Beyond this, there's nothing there. Very strong. And today, in many places, if you talk about, say, if you reject the position of the other traditions, it's very scary. You'll be in trouble. If you try to reject the other positions, you'll be in trouble. And then the people will come to, maybe like kill you or burn you, or the fundamentalists are there. It's very scary. But in those days in India, all these debates were so fashionable in those days. Debating and actually saying that I don't believe in what you said. What you said is wrong. Not saying that I don't believe. Not that I don't believe, but what you said is wrong because these are the reasons. So they come up with the reasons saying that there's no rebirth. There's no creator God. There's no creator God. There's no rebirth. There's no karma. Extremely simple philosophy. And they said, seeing is believing. What is see? Why do we have to believe in something we don't see? So they say that by direct perception, they accept only in the direct value cognition. They don't believe in inferential cognition. They said that what you see, seeing is believing. So on their value cognition, there's only one, direct value cognition. There's no inferential cognition. Inferential cognition doesn't make any sense. This is the Charvaka philosophy. So they say, by direct perception of the conventional world, all causes are seen, all what exists, these are the visible things, they exist. Beyond this, they don't exist. Okay. After all, the diverse parts of anything like a lotus stalks and so forth, grow by means of diverse causes. Okay. So the next the two lines. After all, this is a response by Bodhisattva Shantideva. So what they say is that this is in a way is beautiful, it's amazing. What they said is that look at the beans. Look at the beans. For example, with the clay, you want to make a ball, you want to make the marble. You cannot make it so precise. And if you see like, say for example, like this rosary or a mobile, somewhere suddenly you find a mobile, which means that somebody has made it. There's no the unseen Asian, no. Somebody's made it. Okay. But there are many things which are extremely beautiful, but they are naturally occurred. No karma, nothing. For example, they say that the beans are so round, perfectly round, is amazingly round, beautifully round. And who creates these beans round? What factories are there to make the beans round? No, they are naturally being produced. The beans. Then they say for the needles, we need the factories to make the needles very sharp, pointed, and fine. And look at the thorns. Where the factories to make the thorns very sharp, pointed, and fine? No, they're all naturally occurring. There's nothing from the external causes there. It's all natural occurring. That's there. So therefore, there's no karma actually. This is what they believe. So whereas the Bodhisattva Shantideva says, no, all composite phenomena should necessarily have their preceding causes. Without the preceding causes, you cannot explain something existent, something operating causelessly. If you say that there are causeless productions, causes productions. For example, let's say the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs several million years ago, 7 million years ago, 40, 50 million years ago, the dinosaurs occurred. And now the dinosaurs are gone. There must be a reason, because change in the temperature and so forth, there must be a reason, causal factors for the diminishing of the dinosaurs and the other species coming to being. There are all these causes and the conditions required for that. Nothing causelessly is produced. Okay. After all, the diverse parts of anything like a lotus, even the lotus which is so beautiful, and the peacock's feathers, which is so meticulously beautiful, there's no cause there. This is what they are saying. Who creates this? Who painted these beautiful the feathers of the peacocks? Nobody painted this. It's naturally occurred. So no karma is required. This is what they're saying. Whereas the Bodhisattva Shantideva says, no, if you accept in the things coming to being causelessly, then let's say the dinosaurs came, let's say a few million years ago. Why not today? Why not today? Because causal conditions are not favorable. Causal conditions are irrelevant for you. From your point of view, causal conditions are irrelevant. Things come into existence causelessly. So if things can come into being causelessly, why not dinosaurs come today? Why not your parents or the people who they died to COVID-19? Why don't they suddenly show up? Why not? Because causal conditions are not there. Causal conditions are totally irrelevant from your point of view, because things can arise causelessly. So these the point is that we need to acquire this skill. We need to learn these skills, that somebody talks something not sensible, or something irrational. We must acquire these skills, how to prove that that is irrational, and there's a contradiction there. Okay. Grow by means of diverse causes. 117. Suppose you ask, what has produced those diverse causes? Then let's say that this flower has multiple facets, the colors, the shapes, and so forth. Even the color is shaded. It's not that it's just one color everywhere. As gradual, gradation is there. All these, there's a reason there. There are these specific causes there, multiple causes there. Then they ask, what produces these causes? So they're trying to prove that the causes production is possible, saying that if the flowers, because of the causes, what made these causes? Then Bodhisattva Shantideva takes the takes the Shravakas back to the previous moments. In other words, they know no beginning in terms of time. Okay. 117. Suppose you ask, what has produced those diverse causes? Well, a diversity of the previous causes, the causes of the causes. This is how things operate. And suppose you ask further, why does a cause have the ability to give rise to an effect? Okay, say why this particular cause, for example, say the COVID-19 virus, why this has the ability to damage the lungs of the COVID patient. Why? Because the causes of the COVID-19 virus, so they produce the COVID-19 virus in such a way that it can damage the lungs of the patient. So this is how we can go back. For example, let's say each one of us, some of you may be speaking Spanish. How come that you speak Spanish and others not Spanish? Because I learned it. And how come that you learned and how they did not learn it? And because of that, I got the opportunity to meet with have a class there, and have the desire to learn. Why did you have the desire? Why others do not have the desire? I have the desire because I'm a medical professional, or I'm a teacher, and so forth. And in my class, the students are there who speak Spanish, whose native language is Spanish. So it's very easy to convene the. And why do you have the native the speakers as your students? Because I'm in such a situation where the native speakers are found around. So this way we see that if you keep tracking the previous courses, you can go, say without any beginning. In other words, the beginninglessness, or we can go at infinitum. Rejecting production from permanent causes. Okay, this is intimate. Now the Charvaka part, who is one extreme, saying that there's no cause, no karma, no Buddha, no the God, but seeing is believing, that's it. And some of the philosophy is very scary. Very scary. Some of these philosophy, very scary. They encourage you to go into indulgence. They just encourage you to go into indulgence. Okay, have alcohol and just lead a life of indulgence. And there's no form of the later lives. This life is only life. They read a hedonist view. Okay, then the number 2. Then the other part, no, this is too much. Yes, there are causes, there are the rebirth is there, the law of karma is there, all these things are there. But then what is the self? Where is the self? Where is the self? You talk about the rebirth. Where is the self? What is the self? Then the views. The self and this world, how they come into being. What are the causes? We're analyzing the cause. What are the causes of all this world that we live in now? There's the self, the world. What are the causes? And then this is amazing. In the West, I'm not too sure. It's predominantly the concept of the God, the creator God. In the West, predominantly. Particularly in India, that's very interesting. There was a concept of creator was there, and no concept of creator. And within concept of creator, created as some very divine entity there, or no divine entity. Creator is there, but created in the form of the atoms. Atoms are the creators. That's amazing. Divergent views are there. Yes, everything is created by the creator God. What is this God? It's not the divine thing. The elements, atoms, electrons, not the electrons, let's say the elements. Atoms, these are the particles. And some say, no. Time is the creator God. Time is the creator. Time is the one which creates everything. And then new development, the Advaita Vedanta, they say that, oh yeah, we talk about the God, Brahman, and so forth, but it's not really outside there. It's within you. It's within you. You dissolve your misperceptions, the duality, the Maya, you dissolve them, and then you will see the true self. This true self, Jivatma, then this will actually manifest in the form of the Brahma Atma, the great Atma, the great ultimate Atma. So that is there. And so that is the ultimate Brahma or whatever. And so in this concept, again, to be very honest, there's no like external agent, there's a God. But they talk about the God, they talk about the Brahma. So for Brahma, not outside there, it's within you. All these divergent views are there in India. That's amazing. And very courageously debate amongst each other. And the consequences also there, that with the debate, if you lose the debate, you along with all your students should be converted to the other tradition who defeated you. All these things were happening there. So because of this, there's a divergent philosophical views in India. So let's see one. This is very interesting. The rejecting production from the permanent causes. Okay. First one, causes production is rejected. Now the permanent causes. It says that it says that 118, if as the Nyaya Vaisheshik asserts, Nyaya philosophy and Vaisheshik philosophy. So these two philosophy, these two philosophy are very close in terms of their views. So what they believe is that the powerful Lord, they call it Ishvar. Powerful Lord. And then the Lord, when we say the Lord, we just get an impression because of the Judeo-Christian background. This word Lord is an English word. So we get the concept of, say, the external agent there as a personal God, as an external agent there who decides everything for us. But this is not the view. They use the word powerful Lord, the word Ishvara is the creator. So what the cause of the world? Then Bodhisattva asks, tell me, what is Ishvara in fact? So when you say Ishvara or the God, what do you mean by God? What is that God? This is us. So in those days, it's all permissible. Nowadays, not permissible. If you ask these questions, then you've been in problem. Okay, you can ask it to yourself. And then you build this the power of the logic to say that, okay, well, somebody else believe in this, that is their choice. But I personally, I see that, no, it doesn't, it is not really there. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Logically, the law of cause and effect, that is what is operating. That is it. And then by seeing emptiness, I finally, that whether who's ever created this, I have to get rid of my suffering. That's point. Number two, I have to expand my happiness. And we learn that expanded happiness is by reaching out to all the beings, helping all the beings. So these are all possible without having to accept these concepts of some entity there, the administering all of us. So it says, what is Ishvara? These logics we have to learn. It's not to reject somebody else. This is so important for us, because finally our job is to be free from suffering and to embrace the maximum happiness to benefit all the beings. And for that purpose, we must approach the correct path. And that in this life, in the future lives and future lives, there's always a possibility that we can meet with the wrong paths. Always there's a possibility. And under such situation, only if, of course, prayers can also benefit, number one, but most importantly, you build the power of reasoning within you. The power of reasoning and the power of reasoning within you in this life. And therefore, study of the Dharma is so important rather than the ritualistic prayers. So with this, build the power of the reasoning, and then in the next life, you meet with teachers or the family and so forth who believe in this concept. Okay, it doesn't really make sense. Even as a young boy or a young girl, okay, it doesn't really make sense. And the moment the cause and effect is explained, you said that makes sense. Okay, so this is very important. And it's not about, again, I'm reiterating this, it's not about rejecting somebody else's belief. This is not the point. The point is that you have to follow the path so that your miseries can be brought to an end and your happiness can be expanded. These two are your goals. Your goal is not to reject somebody else's the belief system. Let's not forget this. Okay. So what is Ishvara? In fact, if you say the elements, then their view is very different. They say that there's no like external God there. You know, if I don't comply with the what the God said, then I'll be punished. No, elements will not punish you, right? So their view is very open. They say that elements are the elements. Elements mean earth, water, fire, air, space. These are the Ishvara or the creator. These are the creators. Tell me, what is the Ishvara in fact? If you say the elements, then so be it. But why all the fuss over mere name? If the elements just right from the beginning say that the world is created by elements, don't say the world is created by Ishvara. Ishvara, for example, in India, it is a connotation of the sacredness. It is a connotation of the divinity. So why do you have to give these labels of divine and so forth? Just directly say that the world is created by the elements. Okay, 119. However, earth and the rest, earth, water, fire, and rest, they have multiple parts. And they're also impermanent. They're also inanimate. And they're not divine. They are just, we can just get a handful of sand and a handful of water. They are not divine. There's nothing divinity there. And we can also tread on these. And we can also see some of them are very dirty. So how can the divine be dirty? How can the divine be, something we can actually tread on? So these are the open discussion debates going in those days. So these cannot be the powerful Lord Ishvara. So this says the 112, Ishvara cannot be space because space is a non-impelling. Impelling meaning inanimate. Inanimate, which does not drive you into things, or which cannot, let's say, which cannot drive you into things. So it just inanimate the object. He cannot be the permanent self. So this Ishvara, that according to the Nyaya and Vaisheshik tradition, he cannot be this self meaning he cannot be a permanent self, since that has been refuted before. Permanent self is already rejected before, so that is also not the permanent self. And even if you say he's the creator, which is inconceivable, then they say that no. This creator is there. This creator is inconceivable. Then the Bodhisattva said, well, then what's the use of discussing the inconceivable? Because what you are worried about is your fears. What you want is the infinite happiness. The happiness, something which is conceivable, and the misery that you want to get rid of, this is also conceivable. And the causes, we get rid of the causes. Let's say the COVID virus, we remove the virus, the COVID is gone. This is what you are seeking. So why do we have to discuss about something which is inconceivable, which is totally unrelated to our well-being? 1-1. And what could it be that he wished to create? Okay, then all these discussions, today is quite scary to discuss these things unless we study them, study these for ourselves, otherwise not really try to reject others' views. But in those days, they happen. And what could it be that he wished to create? So this Ishvara, according to these two schools, different versions are there. According to these two schools, what are the things that he wished to create? If you say the self, well, are not the self, the earth, and the rest of the elements, and Ishvara is supposed to be eternal by nature. So we see that there are always, the moment you push a philosophy, if the philosophy is not really the telling with the reality, then you always end up into shortcomings and the drawbacks and the internal contradictions. So they end up with the internal contradictions, saying that Ishvara, self, elements are all permanent. This is one, on one side, they believe that. On the other hand, they believe that this Ishvara creates all the things, which means that once things which are not created, these things were created, once they were not there. Created means coming into existence from non-existence to existence. That is the meaning of creation. If that happens, from non-existence to existence, means there's a change happening. It's not permanent. So the self is not permanent, elements are not permanent if these are created by the Ishvara. And Ishvara is supposed to be eternal by nature. Cognition arises from the object of cognition. Okay, then on the things that we see around, these things, they become relevant to us in relation to the cognition. In relation to cognition, you cognize them, then they become relevant. Okay, they exist. So the cognition happens because of the cognizing mind, not by the Ishvara. 1-2. Happiness and suffering have arisen since beginningless time from karma. And happiness and suffering, don't blame anybody else. Your happiness is your virtues results. Your miseries are the results of your own non-virtues. So these are because of their own previous virtuous karmas and non-virtuous karmas, not by the Ishvara. And if there is no beginning to the cause, how can there be a beginning to the effect? And I say that the cause and effect, since that, for example, let's say, I became sick. Why did you become sick? Because I ate a stale food last night. So that is a cause. And why did you eat a stale food? The food happened to be there, and I did not know that I was hungry, and I did not know that it was stale. So you keep tracking. There is you can go ad infinitum. Since that we can go into the infinitum, there's no time that things are not created or things are not existent. So the creator is totally irrelevant, because we can account for the things' existence on the basis of their causes, the previous causes, which you can track the beginningless time, which means the creator becomes irrelevant. Tell me what has been created by Ishvara, and if there is no beginning to the cause, how can there be a beginning to the effect? 1, 2, 3. And why does he not create continuous? Okay, let's say that the Spain flu, 1918 or 1919, Spain flu, and after 100 years, COVID-19, after 100 years. Okay, they say after Spain flu, maybe for about like 1 or 2 years, then the Spain flu disappeared, which means that Ishvara, he created the happiness of freedom from Spain flu. So why not he create this every time? Why not he creates this, the freedom from the virus every time? Why he creates is once in a while, sometimes not, sometimes the fear of COVID, sometimes no fear. Why that happens, interruption happens, why not continuously? Okay, 1, 2, 3. And why does he not create continuously? Okay, since he does not depend on anything else, he can any other condition. So he should be able to create endlessly, continuously. If nothing exists, what was not created by, if nothing exists that was not created by him, on what does he depend in order to create? Which means that the fact that he sometimes creates, sometimes doesn't create, there's a reason. For example, say someone who is suffering from COVID, well taken care of medically, emotionally. For the COVID patient, it's so important to give up emotional support. This is extremely important. When emotional support is not given, there's a great likelihood that the person will die when the emotional support is not given. So not only medically attended, emotional also, the person must be supported greatly. Because emotionally, if the person feels that, okay, now everybody is running away from me, then the person loses hope. Loses hope. And when the person gives up, will die, then the body will easily be affected by the COVID. So that happens. Because of this, Tibet House, when we had the COVID cases, particularly with one who was very severe, we were making sure that he was being emotionally supported every day, emotionally uplifted every day. And he reported that in the hospital, in ICU, he saw 9 people who were much healthier entering the ICU in 2-3 days time, leaving dead, coming, leaving dead, coming, leaving dead. And he thought that he was going to die because others, they are not getting this emotional support. And he was constantly getting emotional support. He was very lucky for many reasons. There were nurses inside there, the Tibetan nurses. We were able to, they were so kind, and we also made the request to them, and somehow we try to connect. With the COVID patient, usually the outsiders cannot connect to the COVID patient. So nowadays, some of the hospitals, they realize the need of the emotional support for the COVID patients, and maybe directives from the government. Some of the hospitals, they deliberately inform their family members that you can contact the COVID patients through mobile. This was what they try to tell. Okay, so even that is not really sufficient. But we cannot send the people there because people can contract COVID themselves. Whereas the nurses, there's no choice; they're already there. Of course, they're also trained. Okay, so this says these factors are there. The healing of the COVID patient depends on many factors. So when the conditions are gathered, the person remains intact. When the conditions are missing, the person dies. So the conditions play a very important role. So when the conditions are there, then the believers of the Ishvara, they create things. They don't create things when the conditions are missing, which means it's not in the hands of the Ishvara, it's the hands of the conditions. Okay. Since he does not depend on anything else, if nothing exists that was not created by him, on what does he depend in order to create? That sometimes he does not create. He doesn't create sometimes. So on what? For example, that the death of the person is not created at that time. Why not? Because the condition of the death, lack of the moral support, emotional support, that is not there. If that is the reason, 1, 2, 4, if the creation depends on other conditions, the collection of the conditions would be the cause and not Ishvara. This is a very powerful reasoning. It's not about rejecting other traditions. It is about building your the power of the rationality. On this basis, you become somebody equipped with the proper, complete vision to see things very clearly, not be deviated by the blind faith, say the instructions. For when the conditions are gathered, no power can impede the creation. And in their absence, if the conditions are absent, then even Ishvara does not have the power to create. 1 to 5. And if the powerful Lord Ishvara must create lacking a wish to create, then if the conditions are gathered, then the Ishvara has to create this, which means that he does not have the will. If the powerful Ishvara must create lacking a wish to create, it absurdly follows that he is under the compulsion of something else. While if creation is done when he wants, then he is under the power of the want. So how is the Ishvara, the powerful Lord, when creations are done in that form, that way? 1 to 6, those Mimamsaka, or the advocates who assert the particles to be the permanent creator, and some believe that the particles, some believe that time as the creator, the particles as the creator have to be the permanent creator have already been disproved above, while the Samkhya assert permanent primal substance as the cause of the world. Okay, say the Samkhya's position of the which is stanza 60. In stanza 60, the Samkhya's tradition of the permanent primal substance as the creator, which is composed of the 3 elements. Dul is particle, Mun is darkness, and Nyingtop is the sattva, or the courage. So combination of these 3 elements, when in balance, is known as the creator. When not in balance, is known as the manifestations. So when that is rejected, then the particles as the creator is rejected. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll stop here for this first session. We'll come back after 1 hour.
Thank you, Geshe.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Right, thank you.